Hello folks, welcome to the second podcast of black-desert.com. Today, together with my mate Ike, we will feature a short recap of the second closed beta, together with a discussion of the interview of ours at A3. One of the biggest game features that players have shown to be really interested in is the different types of guilds. There was mentioned the religious types, the economy types, and the fighter types. But Ike, tell us, what plans does Pearl Abyss have in regard to the guild types?
Well, yeah, unfortunately the initial output of the guilds have changed. There is no more the religion guild anymore, so we have to stick to the two types of guild now.
But they still mentioned in the interview that there will be the guild and they will have specific guild skill trees. Do you think that they will totally remove the third way of guilds and focus only on two ones, mainly the fighting guilds and the crafting guilds? Or do you think that there will be an option for, a third spec which will be, more social or of a political nature?
Well, they said that they will stick to the two types of guilds only, but there's going to be skill trees, like you said. Unfortunately, on the second closed beta we saw some skills like fighting skills only for the guilds, but they said that they will add skills like crafting skills that will be only for the guilds. That's a pretty unique aspect I really want to see. I mean, one specific guild will be able to craft a unique armor which is only gonna be used by the guild members. I don't know how it's gonna work.
It is going to be also interesting to see how the crafting guilds are going to be combined with the crafting feature of the game itself. I mean, we've seen that Pearl Abyss made changes from CBT1 to CBT2 in how players acquire houses, and it went from an open world function to be mainly instanced, but you have to open the housing slots by getting more intimacy and social points with NPCs, and through that system players get also the chance of creating their own workshops. What is your theory of how it can be combined, player housing and having their own workshop at their house in combination with the crafting guilds themselves? Do you think it will allow for a very complex and a very detailed crafting system which will have a big impact on the economy? What is your view on that?
Well, to be honest, I'm a bit sad about the fact that the houses are not open world, but insta-set. That means every single player can get the best house and craft the best armor or weapon. The fact that there is a crafting skill on the guild section, that might be, I don't know, maybe the moment you join the guild you get extra crafting skill which give you better items, or maybe you can craft maybe siege weapons, maybe like that. But also we need to add that now they said that more than one people can work on the same thing. That means maybe two people working on the same weapon at the same time will output maybe completely less time and have better stats.
Yeah, this is one of these so-called social features they added to the game, or at least they plan to add, so as to encourage player cooperation.
Yeah, exactly.
Now that we talk about player cooperation, we've seen that in the party system itself a so-called link system is being incorporated, which allows for players, in the party, if you have a specific formation, be it a triangle or, a flat-out line, you're giving certain bonuses. What can you tell us of the bonuses, since you experienced it far more than me in the closed beta 2?
Well, we tried it in total with 3 people. And according to the formation that we took, for example, we had a straight line and channel from the first to the second and the second to the third guy. We had different buffs like more speed or more armor depending on the formation that we took. But the problem was the buff lasted only for 5 seconds, but still it was a good thing. Unfortunately we did not try it against any monsters, so for example we could not test how much the difference was when we took the armor buff. And it's pretty funny, but we really need to emphasize that needs a lot of teamwork in order to achieve that thing. I mean, of course communication will be a very big aspect to play really good the game. You can't be a really good player all alone. At the moment a group of 5 can do a very good formations and literally dominate you after they got the right buffs.
It is noteworthy that these formations and the link system will be also incorporated into the PvP system itself. So you will see parties fighting another party, and according to the dynamic of the situation that evolves while fighting, that we will have change information as to adapt to the combat.
Yeah.
So how you see that, I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see that in some sort of large PvP scale, because I haven't experienced that in any other game, you know. It was so far mainly, you know, you have the party, you have the healer, you have the tank, you have the DPS classes, and those guys communicate as to how to perform in combat, but there was never the need actually to be in a specific formation. And as I see it, you know, it allows for a better delegation of powers, and it will also show the talent of guilds, you know, how commands are being delegated to the parties, and how the parties and the party captains themselves give the right calls, you know, to make the proper decision what formation to take, what skills to utilize, and how that will affect combat.
Yeah, and also you need to see how each party will react. For example, it's not a simple game anymore, it's a mind game. You need a strategy, and the moment you see the opponent take an offensive stance, you will have to react and take the defensive stance.
Or try the offensive stance too. I mean, this is going to be interesting, because they say offense is the best defense.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's it with the social features and how the party and gameplay will evolve in Black Desert. What is your impression of the mount system in the CBT2, given that there were no teleports?
Well, the mounts were pretty fast if you compare it with running, but of course it was depending of what kind of mount you had. I mean, the first mount was the donkey, was really fast, but it was something better.
It wasn't fast, it was funny.
It was pretty funny. I mean, I have never seen a donkey as a mount before, and it's a nice thing to see that the mounts, I mean, each mount is different actually. It's not only the speed, it's the speed the mount had level, a unique level like you. And as more you spend more time with your mount, that mount gets level and gets stronger, faster, and even have bigger stamina. The nice thing about that is that any moment another player can gank your mount and you lose your mount forever. That's pretty harsh, don't you think?
I think it leaves you, you know, the possibility that you might lose your mount in combat, or someone will try to kill your parked mount. I think it is interesting because it requires the player to be careful of their environment, you know. Do not go far away from your mount, you will lose it, and it's time and money that you will need to reinvest in order to reobtain the mount, especially if you have leveled it up. So I think it's good, you know, because it underlines the open world concept and the sandbox concept of the game. It's not a theme park. You don't pay, you know, to have access to the game, to the ride, and just enjoy it. You need to give this little extra, you know, and it's more immersive. I mean, these features, these little features which require the player to be more cautious and be more aware of the time they invest in the game. This is what makes, you know, Black Desert more intriguing, more exciting.
And the nice thing about the mounts that each area will have different mounts. For example, in Valencia, which is desert, you will find camels, and also a very nice unique mount that I actually haven't personally seen it before in any MMO game was the elephant. What do you want to say about the elephant?
Especially now on the whole PvP part. You have open world PvP by being able to PK players when you meet the requirements. You have, you know, mounted combat, and obviously the elephant will play a big role in it. But also players will have their, you know, horses and will be more mobile than with the elephant, but, you know, having only one person on it. You have the link system, you have the castles, and which will be also, you know, a big goal and target for guilds since they pay a lot of taxes. So we see a whole dynamic around PvP, and the developers have not focused on PvP that much so far. So it's really interesting to see how that will develop and what more features the developers will implement into it.
Well, they said they're going to add a naval combat, but unfortunately we haven't seen even any trailer about that, so I have no idea how that's going to work on the world of Black Desert.
Yeah, but the developers mentioned, you know, and this is another big plus on Black Desert Online, and it shows how committed the developers are in creating a AAA MMORPG. They mentioned that we might see it in the next CBT. They're creating more and more islands, and boats in general will be used for transportation, trading, and naval combat. And I think that this is a good step because ArcAge did a similar thing. ArcAge has naval combat incorporated in their game, and I think that by following this way or adapting to it, Black Desert will go further steps as to be a proper sandbox game.
Just imagine how much bigger the map is going to be. I mean, if you have to explore the whole land, then they give you, okay, another big size of sea to explore.
So yeah, given that the developers, create more and more islands, the map is going to be hugely expanded. I think it's going to be interesting for administrator of black-desert.com, Furia, who, likes to make a lot of scenery videos of Black Desert Online, and just mention his CBT2 video of 115 places in 24 minutes. So I'm sure he will have a lot of work to do and a lot of recordings. This is going to be definitely exciting for him. So, noting a little bit on the PvE side, there was something really interesting that the developers had implemented, the concept of knowledge, of the player has of a specific type of monsters when they go to a new area.
Knowledge not only about monsters, but also areas, NPCs, monsters, even plants that you will find in the game. And it's a pretty interesting thing that I have never actually seen before. And it says, for example, when you're fighting a monster for the first time, you don't know how strong it is, or you don't know how much health points have, or anything like that. So you can't understand if the monster is almost dead or not. So after you kill it X times the monsters, for example, there's a chance to drop you a scroll. That scroll is the knowledge of the monsters. So the moment you pick up the scroll, it's like a Wikipedia of the monster that says, for example, the weak points of the monster.
In a way, it represents that people go to an area and actually engage and scout the area and the monsters, and after you get the scroll drop, you have full knowledge of that monster in that area.
Yep, you're correct.
This is really odd. Well, from my experience in the CBT2, it wasn't that great when you were, fighting a monster and you saw your life, fall rapidly, and you didn't know if that monster is going to die or not. So it definitely adds, at least on first sight, a dimension of intrigue as to, am I going to die or am I going to kill the monster? It's definitely cool to have in the game.
Well, that thing was so new that many people, including me, thought that when I saw the monster speed not going down, I thought that was a bug of this closed beta, but it was not. So imagine that, for example, in bosses, it will be extremely hard to define if the boss die or not. So if anybody have picked up, for example, a scroll of a world boss, maybe other people can pay him to provide some information about how is your hardest to kill the boss or not.
Well, in the end it means that at least killing for the first time a raid boss in Black Desert will require your very own strategy and your very own skills, since you won't know much about the boss itself. And given that, for example, it doesn't drop the scroll the first time you kill it, we don't know that. It's not certain that it will drop it. It might, be implemented that it will drop the scroll for sure. Yeah. But if it doesn't drop and you want to kill that boss again, you either will need to remember your strategy or, I don't know, try different things out. So it's going definitely to be a huge plus, this feature. It will, differentiate between, zerging and being skilled. Deploying a well-thought strategy or just, randomly trying to kill it.
Yeah, that's right. Or for example, what if it drops only one scroll? Only one guy will pick it up.
Well, it certainly allows for a lot of variation and a lot of situations that might arise from that. But let's go to something else.
Okay, let's move to customization about the character. I mean, okay, we had a very nice customization of the character creation, but they say that they're going to implement in the next beta some dyes for your clothes. So you will be able to dye your armor, but I don't know if you can do the same for your weapon.
It also depends to be seen which parts of a weapon or an armor you might be able to dye, Will it be total recoloring? Will it be only partial recoloring like in Terra? Will we be able to subsidize skins of weapons, destroy one weapon, get its skin and put it on the new weapon with different stats? But I'm pretty certain that the developers will think of something good about that. I mean, went through all the trouble to have a very unique world and a very detailed customization system, you know. I don't think that they will go back on customizing and dyeing weapons and armor.
Personally, to be honest, I believe that they want to keep it in a realistic area. For example, I don't think you will be able to take your metal piece of armor and dye it in pink color. Probably you will have a red cape and you will be able to dye it with a black color, something like that.
Hopefully they will stick to the more, this realistic approach. It's certainly something that draws players and attracts them to the game.
Yeah, and by speaking of realistic, we need to mention that the game supports the Oculus Rift.
Yeah, this is something, again, our beloved admin Fury experienced firsthand. He tried out, the game while using Oculus Rift.
Yeah, but personally, I don't think it's a really good idea to use it against monsters or in PvP. But it's really great experience in order to explore the world of Black Desert with.
Yes, the developers mentioned they want to focus on virtual reality. This is why they went, for a more realistic approach in character creation. The whole world it isn't on the medieval fantasy. It's more of a virtual reality. They went for a more original, more traditional character creation and world concept, as to allow players to identify themselves closer with the world than in other games. And I think it's definitely a plus, and in my opinion they should really stick to that. To make a summary about all that we discussed, we're pretty certain here at black-desert.com that you, our beloved users and viewers, are interested and really hyped about seeing more of the game and maybe playing it. So we have good news for you. CBT2 closed beta test 3 will take place this summer. We don't know the date yet, but it's definitely going to happen this summer with a lot of extra and new features. So make sure to visit our website black-desert.com, our YouTube channel Black Desert Online, and also our forums that we have. Our community is steadily growing. A lot of guilds show interest of recruiting people. A lot of topics come up every day. So definitely connect with us, engage with us, and we are looking forward to hearing your replies and your comments on the comment section below. This is it from me, Apollonius. Goodbye from me.
And goodbye from Ike too.
So see you next time. Bye.